Evening, peeps. I decided to make a follow-up on some of these comments I'm getting from these player haters. Yeah, I don't got a law degree. I got personal education. Sometimes I have a hard time reading things, like we all. But it doesn't take away from the fact is, when you make a comment and you want to be a player hater and think that you actually know, so be it. That's on you. Because the only person you play is you play yourself. You play yourself from your rights. I keep on hearing sovereign citizen, sovereign citizen. You know what? Get the word out of your vocabulary. Sovereign citizen is one who works with the police, with the corporation. That's what a sovereign citizen is. Okay? So I don't know how you're trying to apply sovereign citizen to anything, let alone my journey and my situation. I have player haters saying babbling for 20 minutes, and I already know that the videos are some of them are long. But you know what? For the ones who want to be educated or take the initiative to educate themselves, I have directed you to United States Supreme Court rulings. Now that's not a lot of blah talking in 20 minutes. That's actual set in stone law. If you don't get it, you don't get it. If you get it, you get it. Now I'm taking at least 5% of all these comments are straight pig lovers, straight cop lovers. Because why would you be anything less? You're standing up for the people who violate your Constitution. I mean, I keep on hearing proof, proof, proof. So let me not ramble on a piece of paper or read a piece of paper. Let me tell you right from here, okay? So you have a better understanding that I don't need to read from a piece of paper to understand what is rightfully mine. You understand the First Amendment protects a lot of things. It's just not only freedom of speech, freedom of press, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It's a right, and it's been ruled on by the United States Supreme Court. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but the United States Supreme Court is the law of the land. They make decisions based on constitutionality issues. So any decisions that they're making is set in stone. You can't change it, you can't appeal it, you can't nothing. And the United States Supreme Court has spoken. It's a done deal. Now I can see a lot of my viewers and a lot of these player haters don't understand that. So not only do you got the First Amendment, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that has been ruled on by the United States Supreme Court, you got the Fourth Amendment, which you're protected and secured in your property, papers, and effects and whatnot without a search warrant. The only way they can get a search warrant is if you commit actual crime, have a victim. Okay? Now, you can be traveling down the road and get in an accident and not want to give your shit, but that's a whole nother matter now. Okay? Now, if you're a law-abiding citizen and you're just traveling on a public highway, just doing your personal agenda, taking care of your own business, then you have every guaranteed right to do that without a license and being charged a fee. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to cite these cases, but go to them, read them, educate yourself. You only blame yourself if you don't educate yourself in this. I don't mind the feedback, it's all good, you know. But listen, peeps, The ones who being a player hater and think they don't have these rights, stop being feeble-minded. And you continue to be feeble-minded, that tells me you're either a public servant, work somehow for the state, some way, some form, or you're just a straight cop lover. You believe in everything they tell you. And basically, that's your choice. Okay? And then you got the 9th and 10th. The 10th Amendment saying that the police force, the police officers, cannot tread on your constitutional rights. They have to act within them guidelines. It's a Supreme Court ruling that's saying that. You have to hold them accountable. They try to intimidate you so you don't hold them accountable and you don't stand up for your rights. They make you believe through trickery of wording that you don't have these rights when you actually have these guaranteed protected rights. I can't tell you enough. Shapiro versus Thompson. How about Reno versus Cadon? Those are two famous cases. You know, I mean, and there's so many other cases out there, peeps. I mean, for real. And you guys are just not getting it, or the people that are being the player haters are not getting it. So let me help you once again try to help you explain okay, and I'm going to just do this quickly because this is something I wrote up, and it's hard to write up, and yeah, maybe I don't read the best in the world, maybe I didn't have the better education when I was younger, but you know what, I'm educated myself now, and I'm learning now, so I don't play myself. So these are the laws. Acting in good faith has no argument in court of law. It's moot. Okay, U.S. Supreme Court has ruled on this, and it is a criminal offense for what they do by treading on your constitutional right. It is a criminal offense. It's as simple as that. It appears, and okay, now this is the Constitution, folks. This is the way it is. Okay, when I read this to you, this is the evidence. Okay, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is the evidence, and I don't mind doing the follow-up either. So you guys can have a better understanding. But this is the evidence that I'm going to direct you to as far as educational purposes to be able to do your own research. Okay, don't be a cop hater. Don't be a cop lover. Don't you know, you're working for the state. Keep your comments to yourself. I don't care, because you know what? I know the law. Okay, the Constitution of America. Now this is just the way it is, and this is Supreme Court ruling. United States Supreme Court ruling. It's set in stone. You can't change it. The Constitution of America is a legal document and law of the land. It is a contract you swore to uphold, and you should honor that and in favor for me under the Constitution of America. They have to honor it in your favor, in light of you. Article 6, paragraph 2 of the Bill of Rights, people. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuant thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding, meaning notwithstanding in law. Continue with Supreme Court rulings. Here's a nice one. William Marbury versus James Madison. Justice of the Supreme Court. His opinion was, anything that is in a conflict is a null and void of law. clearly he stated, and this is his ruling, this is what he stated, that for a secondary law to come in conflict with the supreme law was illogical, for certainly the supreme law would prevail over all other law, and any law to come in to conflict will be null and void. It would bear no power to enforce it. It would bear no obligation to obey. It would report to Soto as it never existed for unconstitutionality. Okay? Now that's your amendment under the Bill of Rights. Now, Bill of Rights Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, house, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures. Unless you commit a crime, it's an unreasonable search and seizure. Okay? But there's a lot that goes on. That's a fine line. A crime has to have been committed to have a party or a victim to be able to get a search warrant. It's as simple as that. Amendment 9. There is no authority to add on to the Constitution in such a way that would take away rights previously guaranteed. The Ninth Amendment forbids adding on to the Constitution by any laws whatsoever that takes away rights that are previously guaranteed. Did you understand that, peeps? The 10th Amendment. The power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the state, are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people, which meaning the police must act within the limitation of the U.S. Constitution. Do they have the power to take away previous rights guaranteed by the Constitution? No, because the Supreme Court says they can. Amendment 5, no person shall be held to answer for criminal offense. You have a right not to say anything, not to incriminate yourself, whatnot, so on. It also, in that Amendment 5, is your Equal Protection Clause, which gives you the equal protection of the First Amendment, the Second, the Third, the Fourth, and the Sixth, and so on. Okay? And you have the right to due process of law. And if they don't give you due process, Title 55 United States Code, Section 5556 is clear. And it's specific and says if they deny you due process of the law, all jurisdiction ceases automatically. Also 557 and Section 706 of that code. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So meaning if they tow your automobile and you have every legal right to do what you're doing, then they have taken your private property and used it for public use, because now they're trying to charge you equity for everything. You see how that works? So you got to be compensated for that. And then it goes on to A.M. Jurisprudence, Volume 16, Constitutional Law, Section 97. Now, you got to understand, peeps, this is the Constitutional Law, Section 97, okay, of A.M. Jurisprudence, Volume 16. This is law. You can't change it. No matter what, you can't change it. A constitution be received as liberal interpretation in favor of the citizen. It is especially true with respect to those provisions which were designed to safeguard the liberty and security of the citizen in regards to both persons and property. I have this Constitution. This Constitution is a contract in writing, enforceable in the court of law pursuant to the statute of frauds. So if you fraud me on my Constitution and try to charge me revenue and whatnot and so on, I can hold you accountable and sue you and win. I am the designated beneficiary of the contract. I am the injured party here. You got to understand that you, the citizen, the American citizen, is the beneficiary of that contract. You're the boss. They work for you. You're the beneficiary. So anything they do against that contract is a tort claim. It's trespass. You're the beneficiary. Without adverse, I forget exactly what they call it. I'd have to look back on it, but it's like adverse party, without affecting an adverse party, which would be me. When you do stuff like that, when you impede my right to freedom of movement without just cause or lawful reason. Okay. Now the 2nd of the A.M. Jurisprudence, Section 155. Since the Constitution is intended for the observance of the judiciary as well as other departments of government, the cops, state police, anybody in government, and the judges are sworn to its provision guide, the courts are not at liberty to overlook or disregard its commands or continuance evasion thereof. It is their duty in an authorized proceeding to give full effect to existing constitution and obey all constitution provision irrespective of their opinion as to the wisdom or the desirability of such provisions and irrespective of their consequences. Thus, it is said that the court should be in our alert, the citizens' alert, to enforce the provisions of the United States Constitution and guard against their infringement by legislative, fiat, or otherwise in accordance with the basic principle that rule is fixed that the duty is the proper case to declare a law unconstitutional cannot be declined. It must be performed in accordance with the deliberate judgment of the tribunal before which the validity of the enactment is directly drawn into question. If the Constitution prescribed one rule and the statute another, in a different rule, it is the duty of the court to declare that the Constitution and not the statute, which would be your state laws, governor in cases before them for judgment. Okay? Now, I can't get any more clearer about the 16th, 2nd edition AM Jurisprudence, Section 155. It's pretty clear what it says. Okay, folks? The court has ruled if it's not within the Constitution, then the statute's governor in case does not exist, does not rule. Okay, they have to make judgment in your favor. The judge has to rule in the favor of the Constitution and the citizen. It's a law. You just have to enforce that law. You have to make them do that. Okay. If it is constitutional, it has to be judged in favor of me, the citizen, because I'm the beneficiary. You're the beneficiary of that contract. Ain't nobody else the beneficiary. You know, you peeps are player haters, but I'm sitting here reading the laws to you. The jurisprudence, constitutional law. That it's in black and white. And you're making yourself really look feeble-minded when you're making comments like that. And I'm actually reading what the law says. Okay, folks? Now, it is constitutional. If it is constitutional, it has to be judged in favor of me, the citizen, you, the citizen, because you or me are the beneficiary. We can become the injured party here, okay? For the protection rights and property, see Breyer versus United States, 273, US 28. I mean, don't take my word for it, peeps. Remember, you're saying I'm just a feeble-minded person that don't know what he's talking about. Research it, look it up. I'm giving you the tools to actually research and educate yourself. And you're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about? Okay. Yeah, well, I don't understand. What do you mean by blog posts about lightning? Oh, you like that, Pink? Yeah, I'm a pinkish kind of dude. What can I say? I said lightning. Hey, you know what? Sir, you want to be a player hater, that's on you. If you want to be feeble-minded and not educate yourself, that's on you. I've given you the tools. So it just tells me that you work for the government, you're probably a cop, or you're a cop lover. And it's to say, I mean, nothing what you say is going to change the law. You know, you don't want to educate yourself on the Constitution of the United States and your Bill of Rights. I mean, that's on you. You know, it's the most important book for an American citizen. That's your choice. You know, Stay feeble-minded. Maybe you do have a license. Maybe you do act in interstate commerce. It's the only obligation you're required to have a license or making private gain on highway. Okay? That's just a fact. You can't change it. Just can't. You can't do nothing to it. Set in stone. The United States Supreme Court ruled on it, and that's what some of you guys, peeps, ladies, gents, are not getting. I'm trying to stress the fact that you do have the right, and it's not jurisdiction, it's jurisdiction over your person. Well, it's funny you say that about that, because I really don't talk about political stuff. But you know what? Throughout the state of Vermont, it don't matter what state it is, DMV is actually a political entity set up for monetary gain to regulate licensing for interstate commerce only. But no matter that whole sentence I just said, you got to understand, DMV is a political entity. So I am doing something. I'm doing something. It's my journey, okay? I'm taking my experiences and journey and my education of what I've learned of the law and trying to share it to the public. Okay, peeps. I'm out of here. We got some player haters. Don't even care about this. Now, politicians, DMV itself is a political entity. Research it, buddy. Educate yourself, because you don't know what you're talking about. DMV is actually a political entity. Okay, so let's see if I can answer your question. I don't know if I can. It's for education purposes only. I don't need to go to the politicians about it. Politicians ain't going to give me my rights. I got to fight for my rights just like everybody else does. Okay? You're the politician. Okay? You're the beneficiary. Don't you understand that? You're the injured party if they turn around and violate your Bill of Rights and your Constitution of America. Don't you understand what beneficiary means? You can hold them accountable for violating your Constitution. You can get paid for them doing that. And it's a crime on their part. They can face up to 10 years for that. Now, that ain't set in the law for the shits and giggles. When a cop can face 10 years or up to 10 years for violating your constitutional rights, that's a serious issue. And don't believe me, just go to United States Code 18-241-242 and look it up yourself. Okay, somebody said they had a question. If you got a question, let me try to help you out. You know, I do consider myself a paralegal. You know what? I don't know about Martin Luther King. I'm not Martin Luther King. I am me, standing up for my rights that the Constitution of America gives me the right to do. You know what? He set the stage, or people like that set the stage, and people are opening their eyes. The more technology, the more cameras, internet, people are opening up their eyes and educating themselves. You know, it's just the facts of life. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, peeps. All I'm here is just trying to give you my knowledge and my experience. If it doesn't work for you, then so be it. If you don't think it can be, then so be it. You don't want to take the time to research and educate yourself on the laws that I have spoken about, and believe me, jurisprudence, constitutional law, you can't get around it. It's set in fact. And it's upheld. The court has spoken. I mean, that's what it is. That's what jurisprudence is, constitutional law. So how you gonna just shoot that to the side? That don't matter because the cop says you can, because DMV says you can't, the state's attorney says you can't. Well, then believe them. Your journey, you walk it the way you want. Well, when you're yelling, I am a man, do you know what that means? You know what the man itself means legally? You think these are just words being spit out and yelled out. When you get pulled over on 5 separate occasions or 6 separate occasions, you get pretty frustrated and you want to make sure you deliberately indifference these people of what they're doing so you can hold them accountable. It's as simple as that, folks. Okay, peeps. Y'all be good. Try not to be a player hater and just try to educate yourself. Listen. Oh, I didn't mean to. My finger must have covered it. You know what? I don't care what the police say. The police are public servants, legally defined as public servants. And you got to understand when you read United States, the legal definition for United States is corporation. That's the definition of United States, corporation. So I couldn't call it Corporation of America. They call it United States of America. I know. You like that? Fucking A. It's all good. Okay, peeps.